So we knew it was only a matter of time before all the data mining started for Season of Discovery. And man, some of the stuff we're going to look at is mental. What you got to remember when we look at all this stuff is even Agrand himself tweeted saying, look, a lot of this data mine stuff may or may not be in the actual release. So you do need to take some of it with a pinch of salt. But I'd say we can more or less read between the lines and know what is and isn't happening. And a few of the bits are, as I said, pretty mental. I'm not going to sit here and read every spell that's been data mined because, quite honestly, there's so many of them, and most of them you already know about because they're attached to the runes, or they're just slightly changed versions of what you will already have. But some big ones that do stick out are things like Efflorescence, which is a healing ability for Resto Druids, where it heals up to 3 friendly party or raid members within 15 yards of the target. That's something that we haven't seen in any of the runes or anything like that, so it's probably a future rune, but it might not be available at 25. Staying along the lines of Druid, one of the biggest ones in my opinion is Tiger's Fury. We know Tiger's Fury in Classic Era is actually pretty useless. It just increases physical damage by something like 6, whereas it looks like there is a version of Tiger's Fury like what we know from Wrath. It's not only increasing damage done by 15% for 6 seconds, but it also instantly grants you 60 energy. Now, what's huge about this is you can snapshot rips. You can get Tiger's Fury and then do a rip. It's going to increase the damage of that rip for the duration of the rip, not just for those 6 seconds, assuming that that's how it's going to work. There are a few others, like we know that it was already mentioned that we was going to get Kings for the Horde, because obviously the Alliance are getting Wind Fury and Tremor Totem. Now the Hunters are going to bring Aspect of the Lion, where the Hunter takes on an Aspect of the Lion, increasing total stats by 10% for all nearby allies, but it also increased the total stats of the Hunter by an additional 10%. They're not actually being punished by not using Aspect of the Hawk, but they are going to need quite a decent amount of agility to be able to outweigh the amount that they would get from Aspect of the Hawk. So we'll know more about that, obviously, when we start seeing some more gear and what we're actually going to be using at 25. But hopefully, you're not punished as a hunter for using Aspect of the Lion. Oh, going back up to Druid as well. Thrash Cat. AoE, yes please. Like I say, you're going to have a look through that one yourself to see all of the changes that affect you or what you're interested in, but the big ones are Hunters. Looks like they're going to be able to tame new beasts that they couldn't before, with the addition of Adder Pheromone to be able to tame adders and Deer Musk to be able to tame deers. Aspect of the Lion, interestingly, looks like it's going to go on the belt, so it's not actually going to affect the hands, chest, or leg runes. Path of Arthas looks like an interesting one as well, where you're actually going to reduce the amount of healing you put out, but you are going to increase the amount of damage that you deal. It did look for a little while like rogues were going to get cheat death, but because it was actually confirmed by Agrand, or in a roundabout way, it's not going to be in the game. That's been crossed off. There's also an interesting item, Privateer's Ornate Pistol, which is a rogue gun which gives you the equip of Quick Draw, where you draw your ranged weapon and fire a quick shot at an enemy, causing normal ranged weapon damage and reducing the target's movement speed by 50% for 6 seconds. This also does award a combo point and benefits from talents and effects that trigger from or modify Sinister Strike. And Warrior look like they're getting a whole new stance, being Gladiator stance. All it's really doing is allowing the use of many abilities that are normally requiring Battle Stance or Berserker Stance to be used in Gladiator Stance. And for me, I'd say this looks like it's for tank warriors, because it does mod the amount of block percent according to this, and a bit of damage done, and then obviously allows all of these abilities to be used. I can't say that for sure, but that's what it looks like to me. That's not all though. The information's been coming thick and fast, and we can start to see some of the data mine world buffs. Like in Black Fathom Deeps, you're going to get Boon of Black Fathom, which increases critical strike chance of spells, melee, and range by 2%. It grants 20 attack power and a whopping 20% movement speed, and it's for 2 hours. How this is physically obtained, we don't know. I'm guessing it might be a zone-wide buff in Ashenvale that goes off when the last boss is killed, or it could be even like Onyxia and Nefarian where you hand the head in. So the last boss could drop a head, which then is handed in, and obviously this buff goes out to everyone. The same way Ashenvale in the World PvP area is getting Ashenvale Rallying Cry, which just increases all damage and healing done by 5% for 2 hours. This could quite easily be one that goes out to maybe the winning faction of an Ashenvale PvP event, but that's just me speculating. There are some other shrine-type world buffs where you'll channel at a shrine, or you'll channel at a graveyard, or other places, but no idea what those are at the moment, but they're there. They've been data mined. We'll find out soon. I'm guessing they're just attached to the Ashenvale PvP event. Druid idols and Paladin Librams, as well as some Shaman icons, have also been data mined. Now, we know it normally takes quite a while before Druids start to actually get any of these idols. In fact, it's very late in the game. But I would say we have no idea what any of them do because there's no tooltips actually attached to them yet. But it looks like a Feral's going to have an idol, a Feral Tank will have an idol, a Resto, Balance. You know, there'll be an idol for each spec, and you're probably going to be using them at 25 or before, which is really good because it means you're not going to have an empty slot on your character sheet. The one that I really like is actually about professions. So Alchemy has had a new recipe called Elixir of Coalesced Regret. So this allows the user to speak with the corpse of an individual with unfinished business in the mortal world, and it also may cure indigestion. Now, to me, this sounds like a consumable that might be part of either the PvP event in Ashenvale or something to do with Black Fathom Deeps. What it does, it's anyone's guess, but it's going to be, I would say, for a specific event and not really something that you're going to use as a consumable in raids necessarily. It will be tied to a specific encounter. But this is what I really like. Blacksmithing has got shifting silver breastplate. Now, I've spoke about the silver breastplate in a video recently because it's a very good blacksmithing item. But now you've got an epic version, and it's a unique equipped void touched version of the silver breastplate, which is actually normally a blue crafted breastplate with strength and stamina on. Now it's got an equip where this item is infused with raw power of the void, and when the bearer is attacked, this item has a high chance of inflicting a terrible curse, causing the attacker to take additional damage from all sources for 15 seconds. And this is with a 25% proc chance. You also get 1% hit chance. Enchanting are going to be able to make new mana oils, which are only usable in Black Fathom Deeps, but they give you 12 mana per 5, and increase spell hit by 2% for 5 minutes. The same way going back up, blacksmithing is going to get the same, but obviously sharpen weapon hit. So if you're dual wielding, you'll be able to use 2 of these and get 4% hit chance, or if you're using a two-handed weapon, you'll just get 2% hit chance. Now, it's fairly obvious that this is to sort of counteract the fact that you're going to be killing raid boss level enemies, so they're going to be a skull. So naturally, there's no real amounts of hit that you can get on gear at this sort of level. So this is probably just to balance that out a bit so everyone's not just missing with every attack. Leather workers also get Void Touch leather gauntlets or Void Touch leather gloves, which one is for spellcasters where your chance to hit with spells is increased by 1%, and the other ones are for melee users where your chance to hit is increased by 1% for melee attacks. The spellcaster version has a use effect on a 10-minute cooldown, which is quite long, but you descend into madness, increasing spell damage by 10%, as well as increasing the threat you generate for 10 seconds. Whereas the physical gloves descend into madness, increasing attack speed by 10%, as well as increasing the threat you generate for 10 seconds. And then finally, tailoring. If you haven't heard of spider silk boots, then they're actually a very good pair of crafted blue cloth boots from tailors already, but now you're going to be able to do a void touch version of them, where momentarily you enter another plane of existence, instantly reducing threat as well as reducing all damage taken and damage dealt by 50%. This is for 6 seconds with a 5-minute cooldown. Of course, you're also going to get spell damage and healing by 7, and again, chance to hit by 1%. Now, there is actually a source for these, which is Teach Void Armaments. So this is for the chest, both sets of gloves, and the boots. If I was to hazard a guess, I'd say this will come from BFD. Probably something to do with one of the final bosses, and you may even need a certain crafting material that drops from possibly the last boss to actually be able to make these. I have a feeling they're not going to be that easily accessible because they're not going to want to chuck epics on absolutely everyone. I'm guessing it's going to be quite tough to get. And like I say, if I was to hazard a guess, I'd say there's a currency or there's an item that drops from the last boss in Black Fathom Deeps, and then you'll use that to imbue the already crafted item. So again, it's only a guess, it's only speculation, I could be well off, but I would say you had to make the blue version of these first, and then infuse them with whatever this item is that you're going to be able to get from the raid. We also spoke about the mounts, and the mounts have actually been found now. So you've got the Trainee Sentinel Nightsaber and the Trainee Outriders Wolf. So this is just purely so you've got something to ride around on in Ashenvale, because it's a level 25 cap. You're not going to have a mount. They obviously want the PvP event to move pretty quickly, and they don't want everyone running around on foot. So this will be an Ashenvale only mount. It is a shame. I was expecting a little bit more than it just being a normal mount. You know, like I said in a previous video, it'd have been cool if they could have walked on water or something like that, you know, because you've got Zoram Strand and you've got the big lake in the middle, but I'm guessing that might not have anything to do with it. We might not even go near either of those two places, but you're just going to get a normal mount that you can use in Ashenvale. There's also been some strange new Warsong Gulch specific items that have been data mined. One for each armor type, so you've got a cloth head, you've got a leather head, and you've got a mail head. These basically are just giving resilience. There's not really much more to it. It's reducing all damage taken and chance to be critically hit by 5% while in Warsong Gulch. I'm not really sure what the point of this is, but it might be made clearer as we actually get to play the game, because that is going to take up a slot. Everyone's going to take 5% less damage and have a chance to be crit by 5% less as well. I mean, that's only just going to slow the PvP down a little bit. Maybe they're a bit worried that some of these classes are going to be able to burst really hard, so they just want to give people a little bit less damage intake to maybe smooth it out. I don't know. Be nice to see some stats on those helmets as well, though. I mean, that's tons of news, and I tried to quickfire it for you because I didn't want to put out 5 or 6 videos deep diving into all of this when, quite honestly, any of this could change or become completely irrelevant overnight. We don't know if this is going to be in the game. We just know it's in the game files. It could be historic stuff that they've been playing around with, and by the time it goes live, half of this could be taken out. Half of the abilities we spoke about might not exist. Some of these items might look completely different to what they do as they've been data mined now. But I just want to keep you up to date. I don't consider there being any real big spoilers in there. Even if we find out where runes are going to be before the game goes live because they get data mined, you have my word, I will not be sharing that with you. Because, yes, you're going to want to know where they are, but go and find out from your guild. You know, the first time around, like the first few days of Season of Discovery, needs to feel special, and we don't want it ruined by people like me telling you where everything is. I will cover absolutely everything else, though. If I don't consider something a spoiler and I don't think it's going to really affect the gameplay, like this, knowing some spells that might come, knowing some runes that might come, and knowing some, you know, items that might be there, whatever. But if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. I said it earlier on in a video because I've already put 2 out in the last 24 hours. There is a members-only video now, so if you are a member, be sure to go and check that out because YouTube don't do a very good job of notifying members of uploads. So check that out. If you're not a member, obviously feel free to join. You'll start getting extra Season of Discovery content, and I'll see you on the next one.